Hey guys, Maydaysan from the Maydaysan Talks channel today, and I'd like to get straight into it. And today I want to talk about raising your kids and hugging in Japan, and how I've always found it's kind of weird from the Guy Kokujin's perspective. This topic has been talked about many times over on different channels, but I kind of want to talk about, like, is it really the culture or is it really right? And I guess this is when you start talking about the fine line between it's just culture and like what is actually right for us as human beings, as actual living beings. So first, I'd like to talk about hugging. So we all know in Japan that people don't hug. They just don't, unless you're like a lover or very, very, very close friends or something like that. So often, if you have hung out with Japanese friends and then you have a fun time and then you go out, and then you go to the kaisatsuguchi, you go to the ticket gate, and then you just say, okay, bye, peace. Like, it's, have you ever felt that's awkward? I've always felt that was kind of awkward, and the only girls and guys, I'd say, who would actually hug you are people who have been overseas and people who are like really, really into like international, have like really, really international interests. And that's the only way they would actually kind of hug. Even then, it's an awkward hug. It's not like one of those like, what's up, homie, see you later. I only know one guy who I hang out with a lot, and he actually gives me that bro hug because he's been to America, so he knows that culture. But anyway, everyone else I've hugged in Japan, it's always kind of been forced and kind of just awkward and sexual harassment. Not talking shit. What the fuck? Calm the fuck down. But anyway, so first I'd like to talk about hugging in Japan, and we know that it's culture, but I want to talk about the benefits of hugging, okay? So number one, I did a little research here, and number one is that the hugging creates smarter kids. You know, it's good for their brains, and it shows affection, provides positive stimulation for the kids to grow healthy, it helps them grow, and you're just looking at all here, temper tantrums, it helps them, regulate temper tantrums, resilience in kids, makes them happy. So there's a lot of physical benefits to hugging, and I'm wondering, does that impact the growth of Japanese children and how they grow up to become adults? And more of the question is, if hugging is not part of the culture, then how do we parent and show affection to our children as a Japanese parent? So I pulled up a little thing from Time magazine here on how to parent like the Japanese do. So the first one is, we got a bunch of things like don't talk about your kids because it seems boastful, which is kind of weird to me because I feel like I want to, show off my kid or whatever, and I want to be, proud of my kid. But maybe that's called being jiman. So, but at the same time, Japan is hyper competitive about getting your kids into like high prestigious schools. So it's kind of weird that you don't want to boast your kid. The second one is, which is my favorite one here, is practice extreme attachment parenting, but do not hug. No kissing, no hugging, even when they're babies. And it's just, I've always found that weird. If there are scientific reasons for hugging your children, why is it not, you care so much about raising your kid to be such a good kid, then why are you not hugging your child, and why are you not showing them affection? I understand it's culture, but at the same time, like, these are humans, all right? And we desire affection. Animals desire affection. There was an experiment one time where a monkey or something preferred a hug over food, because animals gravitate towards physical affection. That's just how it is. So I've always found it kind of weird. And how does that affect the brain of a child to kind of grow up without physical affection? Do they become cold? Do they become awkward? What kind of adults do they become? And that's kind of just been on my mind, and it's kind of weird. And the next part is they keep a lid on their self-expression as well. I've always found that's really not nice for kids. Like, kids already have to, especially jugakse and stuff, they already have to deal with a lot of that complexity kind of shit, where they already feel bad about their own hobbies. They already feel like they have to conform to everybody. And Japan's becoming individualistic, right, because of social media and all the influences around the world. So I just feel like it's such an outdated way of raising children, especially the self-expression thing, because everyone knows that people want to express their opinions, but they can't because of social tradition and all this bullcrap. But what am I to say? I'm a fucking guy. This is just me, my objective opinion. So, like, going back to hugging, and why I've always found this kind of strange is, my question is, like, when does it become awkward for people to hug? Because when I used to work in school, I've always seen the junior high school girls and the guys as hugging and holding hands and really touchy, being very physical, and I'm like, okay, so it's not built into them at the beginning. Is this because they're deprived of not being hugged, or is this the way for them to show affection? If it really is the way to show affection in other ways through actions and stuff, and not hugging or kissing, then why are these kids doing it? Does somebody tell them in school that, hey guys, don't hug? Does something socially happen? Do parents start calling them out on it? I couldn't find anything on the internet that kind of led to that answer, and I'd like to know if you guys knew that answer or not. But just to wrap it up again, if hugging is so culturally wrong and not encouraged in Japan, then why do I see the children doing it? I asked my girlfriend this question. She said, well, it's because it's reserved for koibito, it's reserved for the romantic people, and nakayoshi, people who are close. And then there was another thing that I read where it's like a Japanese girl is more inclined, or will be more inclined to hug a foreigner than it is to hug a Japanese person, because it's just awkward for Japanese people because of that tradition that's raised. So it even went all the way to she couldn't even hug her own grandpa, which is weird. Like, you can't even hug your own parents. They don't say I love you on the phone to your loved ones after the phone. And I understand that might be a culture thing, even a subculture thing, but it's weird how, you don't really show this, you don't really say your words of affection for your family members, the ones who raised, the ones you're with all the time. And I wonder if that leads to, falling dysfunctional families, husbands kids who hate their father, wives who cheat on their husbands, because there's just no aijo hyogen, there's no expression of love in Japan. And I think we've gone kind of beyond the point of saying it's culture, you got to show it through actions. But so many interviews over and over on the internet, I have seen that girls in Japan desire aijo hyogen, and that's why they like foreigners, because we do that. And that's kind of weird. So why are we not trying to, show those things? And is this something that would ever change? And is it only going to change through internationalization, or is this forever gonna never change and people are just going to be cool? And I'm just wondering what kind of adults these children will grow up into, especially with social media and especially with the exposure of different kinds of expression. What's going to happen to the future of Japan? And maybe I'm just rambling. Who knows? Maybe it's just a theory. A Japan theory. Thanks for watching. Anyway, guys, that was just my quick little thoughts on hugging in Japan, raising kids, and showing affection. Kind of a mixed bag. Just to kind of wrap this up. New video coming out hopefully this week. I've been really, really in a creative rut. I have the video ready, but I just can't find myself finishing it. It's just weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just an uninspired idea. I'm not too sure what's going on with me, but I'm gonna try and get it done because I know a lot of you have been waiting for some content and I feel obliged. But it's been good to rest and just not think about the channel for a few days. Just been playing Call of Duty the entire weekend. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on hugging, love and affection and parenting in Japan? Let me know in the comment section down below, and we'll see you next time.